Hey everybody, this is Josh Ronquist for Heavy Debriefings, and it's time to do the top 100 albums of 2023 Part 4, 70 through 61. I imagine you know the rules by now, but just in case you don't, look in the description down below. And for eagle-eye viewers, look right over there. I got myself a Mortal Kombat 2 countercade from Arcade 1-Up, and yes, I am playing that while I'm recording these, so you'll be enjoying this from now on, unless I decide it's too distracting. But hey, I enjoy it right now, but let's begin. Coming in at number 70 is Fires in the Distance with Air Not Meant for Us. You would imagine a band like this who does melodic death doom so very well would be from the darkest reaches of Scandinavia. But would you believe they're actually from Connecticut? I know, I didn't believe it at first either, but with the band's sophomore album, they fully go in depth into their melodic death doom roots, exploring a little bit more, and of course, so very piano driven, which may lead a lot of people to check out the band because those pianos are so nice. Yes, this is a fantastic album off Prosthetic Records, which you would never imagine melodic death doom to be on that label, but seriously, if you're looking for some great melodic death doom, this is where it's at. And trust me, there'll be more in the list. Coming in at number 69, nice, is Bell Witch with Future's Shadow Part 1, The Clandestine Gate. Now, this may come as a shock to a lot of people, because I hold their previous album Mirror Reaper in such high regard, being one of my favorite albums of all time, and the perfect example of funeral doom metal. Well, the reason it's at a lower spot than you may think it would be at is because this is only Part 1 of 3. That's right, 2 more parts of Future's Shadow will be coming out in the future. It could be out next week, it could be out in 2 years, it could be out in 20 years, I have no idea. But until then, The Clandestine Gates pretty much acts as an intro, the beginning part of the whole song. And funny enough, it's the exact same length as Mirror Reaper down to the second. Can you play them both at the same time and make them fit? I haven't tried it yet. But until then, this is a great introduction into funeral doom metal, so you really get the idea of what it's about. Slow, churning riffs, feels like it's beyond the grave, and a story that you really need to experience to get the full depth of it all. And of course, part 2 and 3 are on the horizon, so check this one out now, before those releases come out. And this won't be the only funeral doom that makes it on the list, but this is a fine example in 2023. Coming in at number 68 is Death Clock with Death Album 4. This very well could be the last Death Clock album that we get, and if it is, they went out on the highest note possible. And I know that might be sacrilege to say, but I do feel like this is the best album Death Clock has ever put out. It may not have the catchiest songs because none of these songs are on the TV show. In fact, only one of the songs appears in the latest movie, The Rise of the Doomstar, but I do feel like the songs stand out on their own. Some of the most melodic moments that have ever happened, some of the catchiest moments that happen, and just some of the best music the band has ever done. What is Brendan Small and Gene Hoglan going to do in the future? I have no idea. But again, if this is the end of Death Clock for real, we don't need a Death Album 5. They perfectly close things off. Coming in at number 67 is Chrome Waves with The Earth Will Shed Its Skin, featuring members past and present of Skeleton Witch, Abigail Williams, and Amiensis. This collective has always been a very noir kind of band where they never stick to the same style twice, but it still feels classic and new at the same time. It's kind of like a polar opposite kind of thing, but it works so very well. With this particular album, the band expands itself. It goes into more gothic territories, it goes into more alternative territories, even more into the noir, like I mentioned, with some great jazz moments that you don't expect. But of course, it's all in the name of black gaze. And I really appreciate it when a band can go out of their comfort zone and continue to explore. And that's exactly what Chrome Waves does every single time. Coming in at number 66 is Ahab with The Coral Tombs. See, I told you there would be more funeral doom metal coming up. Although, while not focused on the negativity that goes into funeral doom metal and meeting your demise, the band has always tackled novels that deal with oceanic themes, hence the name Ahab, if you can gather where that's from. This time around, the band tackles 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and they actually start off with the heaviest moment that they've ever done, featuring blast beats and screaming, which you would never expect in a band like Ahab. But then it goes right into that rich tapestry of what Ahab has always been about, with that oceanic feel of funeral doom metal, where it feels like you're plunging down to the bellows of the sea. And of course, it goes with the story of 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea, so you can see how it all matches up if you are a scholar. This is one of my favorite albums from early on in the year, and it's still held up being in the top 100, which I'm very, very happy for. This album is fantastic, and if you want another spin on funeral doom metal, Ahab may be the band for you. Coming in at number 65 is Twilight Force with At the Heart of Wintervale. And honestly, this album should be much higher on the list, but unfortunately, I just let it get past me this year and I forgot to keep listening to it, even though I enjoy it so very, very much. But that does not mean, because of where it's at, it's not worth checking out, because this may be the best Twilight Force album yet. It's so much fun. You can see how the band has grown so much in their style, and they incorporate so much. Of course, that power metal sound, a little bit of black metal going on, and even some Caribbean flavors, which you may not expect, at least on the first time around. Yes, this album is just the definition of fun and power metal, and it's sad that so many people do not enjoy the fun and power metal, because Twilight Force is worth checking out. And if you just need some positivity in your power metal, give Twilight Force a shot. Coming in at number 64 is Vulture Industries with Ghosts from the Past. This band has changed so much over the years, whether it's their previous name or just between every single album. This time around, it has a little more of a punky, gothic kind of feel, which I think really fits in with their more progressive and alternative overtones. I've heard it described as a band recording an album at Dracula's castle right before he starts the feed on them. And I think that's a great way to be able to define this album. It's just got those great feelings behind it, a great production value, and anything from goth to prog to alternative, it's got something for you here. Coming in at number 63 is Ex Moris with Necrophony. While it's been a few years since the last Ex Mortis album, it is so great to see the band come back post-pandemic and just see what they're capable of here in 2023. They got some of their heaviest riffs yet, they continue to shine in their neoclassical sense, and whether they're doing instrumentals or just full-on death thrash, they got everything done perfectly on this album. While I've seen it go under the radar, I need to remind you that this album's out and it is for your ears, whether you love something like Yngwie or you just need something in that death thrash realm, this album is for you. Coming in at number 62 is Memorium with Rise to Power. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet, as this is a great continuation of what ex-members of Bolt Thrower have continued on with their old school death metal sound. Of course, updated enough to deal with what's going on in the world today, while giving history lessons of what we should try to avoid right now, but look how well that's working. But seriously, the music is so great. If you love that Bolt Thrower sound, but just in 2023, check out Memorium. And finally today at number 61 is Michael Abdel with Seance in Black, the lone instrumental album that makes it into the top 100 this year, which is so funny to think about, considering past years I used to have so much instrumental music in my list, but I digress. This particular album struck me so hard because of the musicianship, the songwriting, and the craftsmanship of Michael Abdel has been able to be capable of through Fate's Warning, Last Chance to Reason, Ray Alder's solo work, which you may show up on the list later, wink wink nudge nudge, but of course I wanted to be able to show off his solo work as well too. Every album has a very distinct sound to it. No two albums sound the same, and this one goes into some more darker territory, especially given the name, you can see that. To me, it feels like the kind of album that you put on a cold autumn night, like we're experiencing right now here in North America, and it just hits so many great moments. A lot of great highs, a lot of great lows, and of course, jaw-dropping musicianship from one of the best guitarists of the 21st century. If you don't believe me, just give this a spin and find out for yourself. And there you go, folks. Part 4 of Heavy Debriefing's Top 100 Albums of 2023 has now concluded. What do you think? Some albums should have been higher? Should they have been lower? What are you expecting from the top 60 albums of 2023? All this and more, let me know down below. And of course, if you want a more well thought out version of what I think of these albums, make sure to go to heavydebriefings.weebly.com and be able to check out the written version of this. Of course, it has links to the Spotify playlist and the rules and everything else that you need to know about the top 100. Now, until part 5. For Heavy Debriefings, this is Josh Ronquist saying, see ya.